Welcome to Storyflix. In this video, we will explain Love and Wish. This movie tells the story of a girl named Sun Da-yoon, the youngest of three sisters. Da-yoon and her older sisters will spend their time reading comics and romance-themed novels, and Da-yoon will spend the night dreaming of finding true love. Da-yoon and her sisters then move to Seoul, and she finds herself living next door to a handsome young man named Kim Soon-yu. Da-yoon immediately feels attracted to Soon-yu and thinks that he might be the true love destined for her. But after getting to know Soon-yu better, Da-yoon finds out that he has a dark past, making him emotionally vulnerable. Can love conquer all, or will Soon-yu's past thwart their romance? Let's find out in Love and Wish.
사랑을 외치는 세상 속에서.
Love and Wish tells a story of a girl named Sun Da-yoon who recently moved to Seoul following her older sister, who got a job in Seoul. Da-yoon is the youngest of three sisters who is still a high school student. Da-yoon's older sister Da-mi is a prosecutor, while her other sister Da-in is an actress. While coming home from shopping, Da-yoon accidentally runs into a young man in the elevator leading to her apartment. Because the young man is quite handsome, she immediately feels attracted to him, who is none other than her new neighbor. The next day, Da-yoon, a transfer student at her new school, is asked to introduce herself in front of the class. However, how surprised Da-yoon is when she finds out that the handsome young man she met in the elevator last night was her classmate. At her new school, Da-yoon befriends two students named Han-na and Na-ra. Through the two of them, Da-yoon knows that the boy's name is Kim Soon-yu, and he is a very quiet student and always alone. Unexpectedly, Da-yoon meets her old friend, a young man named Yu-il who went to school with her. In addition, there are two bad students in her class, namely Hong-jun and Ji-nam, who often seem to bully the other students. When Da-yoon comes home from school, she rushes over to Soon-yu and says she likes him. She seems to have great courage to confess her feelings openly. However, Soon-yu didn't respond at all and just walked away. In the evening, Da-yoon tells this to her sister, Da-in. Not long after, Soon-yu comes to Da-yoon's apartment to drop off Da-mi, who just got home from work drunk. Da-yoon thanked Soon-yu for helping her sister and dared herself to ask for his cell phone number to make it easier for them to communicate. Soon-yu then returns to his apartment, where it turns out that he is hiding a girl in his apartment. The days go by, and Da-yoon starts to openly approach Soon-yu at school, trying to befriend him, making her friends wonder why Da-yoon is attracted to an indifferent and quiet boy like Soon-yu. But Da-yoon doesn't care about that because she already really likes Soon-yu. The closeness of Da-yoon and Soon-yu turned out to annoy Yu-il, who felt jealous seeing Da-yoon often approach Soon-yu. Yu-il questions the reason why Da-yoon approached Soon-yu. But Da-yoon has absolutely no reason to like Soon-yu because he is the first person to make her heart flutter, and she thinks that her meeting with him is destined and maybe he is the true love she had been waiting for. That night, Soon-yu accidentally runs into Hong-jun and the gang, and it turns out that Da-yoon and Yu-il are not far away. There was a small argument between Yu-il and Hong-jun because Hong-jun seemed to want to intimidate Soon-yu. But then, Hong-jun indirectly mentions a girl named Yoon-ha who lives with Soon-yu and asks him where she is. When a clash was about to occur between them, suddenly Da-yoon's two older sisters appeared and interrupted them so that Hong-jun and the gang became hesitant and chose to leave. The next day, Soon-yu then asks Da-yoon to come to see him. It turns out that Soon-yu asked Da-yoon to help him understand the lesson. It was immediately welcomed by Da-yoon. Meanwhile, Yu-il seems increasingly jealous to see Da-yoon getting closer to Soon-yu. Elsewhere, Hong-jun is seen hanging out with his friends, where he tells a girl named Hong-yeon that Soon-yu already has a girlfriend. Hong-yeon seems obsessed with Soon-yu and thinks she and Soon-yu are destined to be together forever. One day, Han-na confesses her love for Yu-il because it turns out that she has been secretly having feelings for him. But Yu-il rejects Han-na's declaration of love because he actually likes Da-yoon. On the other hand, Soon-yu invites Da-yoon to date him but asks her to keep their love relationship a secret from their friends because it could harm her. Shortly afterward, Da-yoon was visited by Hong-yeon and the gang, who wanted to bully her because of her close relationship with Soon-yu. But then, Yu-il appears and immediately tells Hong-yeon that he is Da-yoon's boyfriend and asks her not to bother Da-yoon anymore. After that, Yu-il tells Da-yoon that he has rejected Han-na's declaration of love. Hearing this, Da-yoon looks surprised and hopes that Yu-il and Han-na will remain good friends even though they are not dating. Following Da-yoon's advice, Yoo-il decides to meet Han-na and rekindle their friendship. Sometime later, Hong Yi-in bullies Da-yoon again. Even now, Hong Joon and his friends are bullying Da-yoon either. One of their gang, who still sided with Soon-yu, then rushed to tell Soon-yu about Hong Yi-in and Hong Joon, who were bullying Da-yoon. Hearing this, Soon-yu rushed to save Da-yoon. It's revealed that Hong Joon and Soon-yu used to be friends and Hong Yi-in had a crush on Soon-yu. Because Soon-yu has a close relationship with Yoon-ha, Hong Yi-in then feels jealous and bullies Yoon-ha. Hong Joon and his friends bully Yoon-ha, even though she is Soon-yu's stepsister. Since then, Hong Joon and his friends have always intimidated Soon-yu physically and mentally. Because of this, Soon-yu becomes very quiet and moody and is always alone. Soon-yu actually reported the actions of Hong Joon and his friends to the police. But because they are underage, he has no proof that Hong Yi-in and Hong Joon did the bullying. Da-yoon had to be rushed to the hospital and received intensive care. She looks so shocked and depressed after being bullied. She then remembered her past at her old school, where at that time, she was still nicknamed the Ice Princess because of her cold and indifferent nature, just like Soon-yu. Moreover, Da-yoon comes from a prominent family, so her friends are reluctant toward her. However, as time goes by, Da-yoon begins to change and tries to make friends with her other friends, such as Yoo-il and a young man named Mira. The three of them are the smartest students in the class, and they are always seen together, leading to a love triangle because both Yoo-il and Mira are like Da-yoon. However, behind Mira's kind and always smiling attitude, he turns out to be holding a wound because he is always becoming the target of bullying. Mira, who can't stand the continuous intimidation and bullying, decides to confess his love for Da-yoon before ending his own life. Suddenly Mira's death makes Da-yoon very shocked and devastated. Likewise, Yoo-il decides to change schools because he is being targeted by his friends after Mira's death. Because of this, Da-yoon decides to end her love relationship with Soon-yu and stays away from him because she no longer wants to be the target of bullying by Hong Yi-in and her friends. Da-yoon feels very depressed, especially after finding out that Hong Yi-in uploaded a video of the bullying they did. Soon-yu then asked Yoon-ha to come to see Da-yoon and have a heart-to-heart talk because she had been in the same situation as Da-yoon, so she would know and understand how Da-yoon felt this time. Soon-yu and some of his friends make a plan to avenge Hong Joon and Hong Yi-in for bullying Da-yoon. It turns out that they have prepared a plan together with one of Da-yoon's older sisters, who works as a prosecutor, in which they will record the bullying actions of Hong Joon and Hong Yi-in and report their actions to the police. Not long after, Da-yoon's sister, a prosecutor, came to the scene and thanked Soon-yu and his friends for trapping the bad students who had hurt Da-yoon and making them responsible for their actions against Da-yoon. After that, Da-yoon rushes to meet Soon-yu at the scene. But then, Hong Yi-in approached Soon-yu and recklessly stabbed him until he was injured and had to be rushed to the hospital. Soon-yu had to undergo treatment in the hospital for a few days. When Da-yoon finally gets the news that Soon-yu will be home from the hospital soon, she gets ready to go to the hospital to pick him up. But when Da-yoon got there, Soon-yu turned out to be out of the hospital and only left a letter for her, which he left through Yoon-ha. Da-yoon then feels shocked and devastated because Soon-yu chose to leave her and didn't say goodbye to her. However, in the letter written by Soon-yu, it was stated that he had to leave Da-yoon for a while and asked her to wait for him. Years have passed since the incident, and now Da-yoon has graduated from college and has a steady job. Da-yoon often meets and talks with her friends during high school, including Yoon-ha. One day, when Da-yoon and Yoon-ha are out for a walk, they accidentally meet Hong Yi-in, who has finished her prison term and is working as a waitress. Reunited with the people she once hurt, Hong Yi-in sincerely apologizes to Da-yoon and Yoon-ha and regrets what she did to them. Da-yoon and Yoon-ha forgive Hong Yi-in either. After that, Da-yoon and Yoon-ha meet their friends and share stories, where it turns out that only Da-yoon has not had a lover and is faithfully waiting for Soon-yu's return. After talking for a long time, Da-yoon comes home and accidentally meets Soon-yu in the elevator, just like their first meeting. The love between Da-yoon and Soon-yu blossomed again after being separated for so long. The moral we can learn from this movie is that, if we are meant to be together, then whatever the odds and obstacles, we will stay with that person. Especially if our togetherness is based on mutual love and trust in each other to face everything together.